Hi, welcome to Crafting with Kimberly. I'm Kimberly Canale, and today we're going to be making a tunnel book. Now, you've probably seen books like this, children's board books. These are called tunnel books because, as you can see, you can look through and there's a different picture, but the hole gets smaller and smaller and smaller until you get to the very end and there's your large picture. But looking through, you see the different colors of all the pages and then one image. That is the same idea of what we're going to make today. So you can see I have various holes going all the way through. I've used 4 sheets of paper, so there are 4 images going inside. It's an accordion fold. It can be folded flat, but normally when you have this, you'll be holding this, setting this on your countertop, and it'll be open 3D all the time. This type of book, same kind of idea. It's still considered a tunnel book. Got this at a sale, so you can see some dog must have gotten a hold of it. But you can see how the pictures are cut out. It's the same basic cut, but it shows different things as you open through it. And then when you close it all together, you see all the holes in the cutouts. So that's the idea that I used to make this book. You can see there's a cutout here. Instead of going through all of the book and having holes all the way through, I just chose to say, all right, I'm going to highlight the moon. And then on this one down below, I'm going to highlight the flowers that are showing. So each page has a cutout, but it doesn't go all the way through, and your final page is still solid. So these are the ideas of how to make a tunnel card or a tunnel book. The supplies that you're going to need is definitely you're going to need scrapbook paper. The nice thing with these is you have all coordinated sheets in your book. All the colors are meant to match when you buy books like this. You can usually find them on sale at most of the big box stores. I know Michael's has them all the time for like $5.99, $4.99. So these are a great thing to get and stock up on because you know all your papers are going to be coordinated. And it's a lot cheaper than getting just the loose leaf scrapbook paper. But you could use book pages, you could use wrapping paper, or any type of paper to make this. But I like the coordinated books. Calendars are a great use. When you've gone through and you've used your calendar, it has some great pictures to be able to cut out, and you can definitely follow a theme. A nice thing to do is look when a lot of the stores are selling their calendars cheaply. Go grab a bunch if you see pictures that you like. Usually that happens, believe it or not, in January. They get rid of calendars pretty quickly. January, February, those are time to stock up on those. That's a great idea. You can also use stickers. These were what I used for the little open book. I used little fairy stickers. Magazines, or you can simply just get scrapbook paper that you like and make your holes this way. That's what I'm going to use with this one. I just loved the paper that was in this one. So I'm just going to cut my holes, not put anything 3D in there. I'm just going to let the paper show. So that's another way to do it. I would suggest using an Xacto knife and a cutting mat. That's very helpful. Definitely scissors. You will need a pencil and a ruler. And again, as I said, any kind of cutouts that you want. So let's turn the camera around so you can see what I'm doing close up. For the tunnel book, you're going to need 5 pieces of paper. For this particular book, I did not fold it to be double-sided, so you can see that it's just white in the background. So if you want to do that and you want all your pages to be the same, you only need 2 pieces of paper for the pages piece for the side. But however, I am going to make mine double-sided, a little bit more like this book. So for that, I am going to need 4 pieces of paper because I need to get 4 chunks. I've already cut mine out, but I'm going to show you how to do it on this extra piece. I'm using 12 by 12. You can use 8.5 by 11, but just make sure whatever size paper you're using, it's the same for everything. So I'm going to take this piece of paper. I am going to fold it in half, and it's 12 by 12. So it's a nice perfect square, so it doesn't matter which way you do it. If you have a pattern and you want to make sure your pattern is going the right way, fold it that way. As you can see, I have 2 pieces technically of paper there, because what I can do, I'm going to fold it in half this way, and then open that up. So now you can see I have 4 equal quadrants. If I wanted to use the same piece of paper as I did here, I would cut all 4 pieces out. If I want to make it double-sided, as I have in this book, I'm going to keep it folded in half like this, then cut along this line. That will give me 2 separate pieces of paper. So technically you could make this book twice. Cut that in half. I'm actually not going to use this piece of paper, so I'm just going to put that aside because I just wanted you to see how that was done. I have already cut out my 4 sheets of paper. So again, I have a whole nother set that I can make out of books, that I can make a book out of. But I'm only using half now, because by doing this, what I can do is I can open this up, grab a scrap piece of paper, and now I'm going to take my glue stick, glue all along the sides. Really make sure you get your edges. Glue it all the way through. And fold it down. So basically, I've just made double-sided paper. I like to have the folded edge up at the top because that gives a nice crisp and clear edge. If you're using just the single sheets of paper, you'll have a little bit of white showing. I basically just took a Sharpie on this one and I just colored along the top, but then I also felt it didn't really matter. But if you really want to have nice and crisp and clear, this is very thin paper, so you really want to smooth it out. You can also see it didn't exactly fold all the way, but because that's going to be my side, you're never even going to see that. That's the other nice thing about using your fold on top, because that gives you a nice crisp edge. If for some reason you needed to have it this way, you could always take your scissors or a paper trimmer and cut that and make it even. But you want to make sure then you have it for all your pages. So you would go through and you would glue all of your pages together. So I'm going to speed the camera up and I'm going to go ahead and do that. I've already cut my accordion pieces of paper out, but I will show you how to do it on this extra piece of paper. And because it's patterned, it's much easier. Turn it over to the other side so you have a blank sheet. You need to have your accordion edge to be exactly the same height. And because this is 12 by 12 paper, I just folded that in half. I need it to be the same height, but I need it to be 1.5 inches longer. That's very important. The 1.5 inches will allow your card to lay straight once it's folded. So the best way to do that is line this up so you know it's straight. I already know that's my top because it's a folded edge. I'm going to take this and I'm going to mark an 1.5 inches. And I need 2 of these, so I'm just going to continue up and make sure that I have 1.5 inches. So now I'm going to take my ruler, line up the sides, line up the little marks that I just made. And I'm going to draw my line. So now you can see that this is the same height, but the width is going to be 1.5 inches. So I'm going to cut that out. So again, if you're making it and you don't care if it's double-sided, you will need 2 sheets of paper to make the book or the tunnel book. Otherwise, you'll need the 4 coordinating and then your extra. I'm just going to cut along this line, make sure that I can see it to cut it. All right, so now I have my sides. We're going to be turning that into this. So just like you kind of made the school fans, if you were ever a kid in school that would make those paper fans, this is exactly how you do it. So we're going to take it, we're going to fold it in half. There are many ways to fold it to get the accordion fold, but I found this to be the easiest. Fold it in half, really crease it. Fold it in half again. Really crease it. And fold it in half one more time. This is thicker paper, so it's not as easy as the flimsier stuff. So just take your time, really push it, fold it. So then when you open that up, you can see that I have 8 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then we're just going to make sure that it's an accordion. I've got one going this way. I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to follow that line. Fold it back the other way. I'm just going to go back and forth. So now I have an accordion, and you can see that it is the same size as my paper. And you can see the nice coordinating colors of that. So you would do that to both sheets of paper. And that's how I came up with that one. If you wanted to make the book, instead of doing the accordion, you're going to cut strips that you will fold in half to put on the inside of your book. So depending on where your cuts are, this one's a bit wide because this is what I was going to use for the outer edge, but you just see where your cuts are, and you can pretty much do the same thing. Do an accordion fold, cut those strips. But that's how that would be. That would be folded. You would glue to one side and glue to the other. And you would do that. You'd flip it, one side, then flip it, one side, flip it again, one side. You could be done at that. You don't have to have it covered. For this particular one, I just did a bigger strip. This was that strip. And then folded it over and glued. You want to have a little bit of an opening right there, because when you open your book, you can see it needs to fold. See the hole? It needs to have that little bit of wiggle room to be able to fold and open the pages. So when you're doing that, I'll show it on this end, just don't put it all the way up tight. Come out with it a bit more, and then you would have that little edge. So again, to get those strips, if you wanted to fold a piece of paper to get your sizes, you could do the same thing with the accordion fold, but then just cut those. So now we need to decide what shape do we want for our openings. For my tunnel book, I didn't want to have to worry about doing a perfect circle, so I did a wavy circle. This is an example that I used in class. So you can see that's my one sheet of paper. And what I did is I just folded my piece of paper in half gently. I freehanded this. I just cut that out in this shape. And then that became my opening. Kind of looks like a butterfly. I unfolded it. So that looks like a butterfly almost. You can do this with any shape. You could do a circle, a blob, a square, a diamond, you know, whatever shape you want. But either way, your first page is going to have the largest cutout. Then the piece that you've cut out becomes your pattern. So you can see on my next page, I set this down. I traced it. I did this much darker for class so that they could see what I was doing. And hopefully you can see that as well. You can see that that has a darker outline. But you just want to trace it very lightly for yourself. Trace the outside shape. Then take your pencil and you can follow along your pattern. Draw, probably a good rule of thumb is like at least a pinky width. A little bigger than a pencil width, kind of like a pinky width, depending on how much you want showing. Because remember, you have to do this 2 more times with smaller circles. So this would be the part that I would cut out. So I'm going to fold that over and show you how that goes. And if it's not exactly right, the same size, it doesn't really have to be. I'm just going to follow along. I'm watching my lines, but I'm not worrying too much about them because I don't expect this to be the perfect shape. So now You can see I have the next cutout. It's about a pinky width long. Shows me the contrast. Go through after this and erase all your lines before you glue it all in. But now I have those two pieces. I need to go to my pink. I want my pink to be next because I want my green on the back. So I would come to my pink. I would take the cutout that I just used, find my edge, that's my top edge. I'm going to basically put that right in the middle. I'm not measuring because I don't care. I'm going to set that in the middle. I'm going to trace around. I'm going to trace dark so you can see it, but you trace light. So there is my pattern. You can see the tracing. So now I'm just going to take my pencil, and you can follow along and cut that out. But what I'm going to do, just so I don't have two sets of lines to erase, I'm going to just fold. I can fold it tightly here in the middle because that's going to be cut out. This I want loose, but here I can fold it tightly. So now I'm going to know I need to go in about a pinky width. So I'm just going to come in. I'm going to loosely follow those lines. And then you can take these and use those for another project. But now you can see I have my other shape in there. I can flip that over because I haven't erased it yet. So now you can see my openings. Now, if you're not happy with the way your colors are showing, now is the time to fix it. Now, obviously, I can't put more yellow in there, or I can't add more pink, but I can make it smaller. I'm going to keep them together like that. This is just not showing. It's showing a bit too much for the pink. So I'm just going to follow along and just make that not be so deep. So now I have that opening. My back will be solid and plain because that's the back of your book, and it also shows through. Now you can just leave it like this. If you just like the colors, the way the colors are, you can do that. Like I said, I have this paper, and I just absolutely loved the paper. And I love that image. So what I'm going to do for this one is I'm going to just cut out some rectangles and then have them be opposite each other, so then you really see mainly the paper. But for this, I want to add cutouts. So what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to make sure that I have my folded edge on top. And then the green. So those are my pieces. I am going to glue just one side of the accordion down, because by doing that, you can see where you have to go, and it makes it a little easier to flip back and forth. So I like the accordion to show in the front. I like the overlap. I like the contrast of the way that looks. If you did not like that, you could take it and glue it to the back if you did not want that to show. But I like it showing. So I'm going to take my scrap piece of paper. For just this very first one, the first page, I am going to glue on this first and the second. So I'm taking basically 2 strips, like a V. I'm going to set that in, following the fold line, lining it up, folding that over, pressing it down. So now I have my first page. I like doing it this way because that gives a nice sturdy front and it helps it stand really well. Now I'm going to glue my second page, which is my yellow. But I'm not going to do that pinchy thing because otherwise I'm going to bring it right together. I want it to be a 3D. So I'm going to skip this first one and I'm going to glue on this one. If you absolutely hate that there's white showing, what you can do is make strips. So you can see that's glued in and now there's a space. And what I was talking about with strips is this is going to be a white strip. For this particular one, I'm not going to care. I'm not going to put strips in. But for this one, to show you, I did cut another strip and glued it on the inside. So then each one, when you looked all the way down, you could see that there was all paper on the sides. But for this one, I really don't care. So I'm just going to glue those 2 together, skip this strip. I've glued it on the second strip. I'm going to skip this next strip. I'm going to take my next page, which is the pink. I'm going to glue, follow your fold line. It's good to, when you're going to glue your pages, it's good to fold it because then you can get that right in the fold. So now I have my pink in there. I'm going to skip this strip. I'm going to do this last page. Again, if you fold it where your edge is, it makes it a lot easier to get your pages in there and lined up. So now I have half of my book. And you can already see here is the tunnel. Now I want to make this with 3D pictures because I think that looks really cute. So I went through and I took that cat calendar that I showed and I cut out some cats, which I thought would look cute on my pages. I also cut a bigger one for the back because that is going to be my center. So I'm actually going to start with that one because I want that center piece to really be in the center. I want to know where I have to put that. So whatever picture, it could be a cutout, could be a message. If you're doing family photos, a full family would be cute. You know, put separate people in there, and then at the end put a group photo. The important thing is really the edges, making sure you get your edges cut. So again, I'm going to just fold that over again just so I can really see before I set it down. I want that kitty cat right there. For this one, I did, even though there's polka dots, which were really cute, I just cut a bigger picture to show through. I could have just cut him out and he would have been up against the green. But I like that because I like the polka dots for the back. So that is my back page, the center. So now I have 3 other sections that I can decorate now. So again, I took some cuts. I think I'm going to put this little guy right here on the front. By doing it just one-sided like that, you can flip it open, flip it to wherever you want. Just remember, you have another accordion fold to put on. So I want to make sure if I put my cat there, look what's going to happen. When I go to glue this side of the accordion fold, I completely lose him. So I don't want that to happen. I want this cat to be there. So I'm going to wait till the very end to put that one on because I want it to hang over this way. So I know it's not covered. What is also handy are paper clips. So if I paper clip this first, I can temporarily place, you don't have to do this, but I can temporarily put these pages in where they belong. So then I can get a feel for where I need to go. So I know I want this little guy to be right here. So for right now, temporarily, I'm just going to put a little, I want it to come over the edge like that. My next kitty is going, I think, to go in there. And then finally, that kitty is going to go like that. So now I know pretty much where I want those pieces to be. I can fold that up. When you have it lying flat, you don't really see it. But then once you expand it, you will see it. So I have my idea of where I'm going to put everything. I know it's going to work with the pictures that I've cut out. I can take that back off, wait for him, open this up. I know I want that kitty to be there. I don't want to cover my hole, because if I cover my hole completely, then I won't be able to look in and see the picture in the back. So I can fold that over. I know I want this little guy to be about like that. And then I'm going to open that up. Now you can see from the side here, it doesn't look that good, but you're not really, because we're not making this into a book, you're not going to see that side. So like I didn't even really need to put glue there. So I just need to kind of be careful because I shouldn't have put glue on that side. But this little one, I want to hang over this much so I can kind of hold it. I can put my glue stick down there. So now I have that one. Again, you can see the 3D layers of the cat. And I've already glued that one in. Now, because I have all 3 of my layers, I'm not going to add anything else to it. It's going to look just like that. Now I can take my other accordion and be able to glue that on. I'm going to start with the back. I think that's a little bit easier. So now I'm going to skip this one, but I'm going to use the very back flap. Put my glue on it. Just that one flap. Open that up. Fold that so I can get that right to the edge. So that's glued. I'm going to ignore that strip. I'm going to come to this strip. It's the next one in my fold. I'm going to take my next piece of paper, fold it, give it like a little squeeze. So now that's in there. I'm ignoring this one. I'm coming to this one. Again, you really want to make sure you get your edges. I'm going to put my yellow one in, right up to the corner. Push it down. So now I have my yellow. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put glue on both of those. Right on the edges. So now I want to give it a little fold so I know where the fold is. Stick that in there. So now that is connected. Now I can take my front kitty and decide where I want her. Put my glue down. Put my kitty down. And now my book is completed. I've got the 3D of it. I've got pretty sides. I've got a pretty back. I don't care that those are white on the inside. I'm not really going to look at that one. But again, as I showed you, if that bothered you, you could do the little coordinating strips. After I did that, I really felt it was a waste of time because you really don't see it. But now you have your little 3D book. You can write notes, just leave it as is. But what a cute little card. You can fold it flat to mail it and then tell the person you mail it to open it up. So really cute. So again, if I were going to do the open book. For this one, I wanted to cut a hole so I knew my next page was the moon. So for that, what I did is I took my paper. I kind of guesstimated. I put this paper over it so I could see where it was. So this was my folded paper. I took this sheet. I knew it was right there. So I just kind of moved it over. I brought it down a bit, moved it over to where I wanted the cut to start, and then kind of gave myself a little bit of a marking. You don't ever want to go too close to your edge because otherwise it won't be strong. But I just cut that out then. I took my Xacto knife, laid it down, cut my square, and then again with the folded papers, I cut my strip, folded the strip in half, glue on one side, glue it down, glue on the other side, glue it down. Depending on where you have your cuts, you may have to trim this a bit or just put a sticker over it and then go through. So that's how you can see I did the different cuts. These stickers were really, really cool. They were transparent and clear, so they have a clear plastic on the back. What I did is once I opened it, I only took the back off halfway. Actually, I went that way. So took it halfway, stuck it in where I wanted it, flipped the other part of the sticker, the clear on the inside, so you can kind of see there. Here is the plastic. I'll try to do it so the light shows it. I don't know if that really is picking up, but you can see the outline of the sticker, and I just glued that down. So that, because otherwise this is sticky, you have to have some kind of covering for it. But because these were transparent, these were perfect to be able to just flip that around to the other side. Otherwise, if you have a solid sticker, just put a piece of paper there. But that's the idea for that. So here is our completed project. You can really see the neat tunnel effect with all the different pictures showing in there. Just a fun idea. So any kind of pictures, again, you could use your photo album to use your family pictures, or any type of books, magazines. Makes a fun tunnel book or an open book like this. I hope you had fun. This is Crafting with Kimberly, Kimberly Canali. See you next time.